Hello, this is Chapter 5, Test Review, Part 3. So in our last couple problems, we have evaluate the integral. Notice we have an integral from negative square root of 2 to 0, 3x square root of 2x squared plus 1. Notice that it's a little more complicated, so we'll be doing u substitution. And in this case, u equals 2x squared plus 1, because again, it makes it a little simpler to begin with. Square root of 2x squared plus 1. If we substitute 2x squared plus 1 in for u, it makes it much simpler to take the integral of. Then when you take the derivative, du over dx, the derivative of 2x squared is 4x, derivative of 1 is 0. And then we'll end up with dx equals du over 4x. So if we have the integral of 3x square root of 2x squared plus 1 dx, instead of 2x squared plus 1, we put u. Instead of dx, we put du over 4. So we have the integral of 3x square root of u du over 4x. Notice the x over the x simplifies to 1, so we're left with the integral of 3/4 u to the 1/2 du. So we started with something more complicated, we ended up something a little simpler. We haven't taken the integral yet, so we take the integral, the 3/4 stays in front. The integral of u to the 1/2, add 1, you get 1.5, divide by 1.5. Notice that we have 4 times 1.5 in the denominator, which is 6. So we have 3 over 6, u to the 1.5. 3 over 6 simplifies to 1/2, u to the 1.5. And then we have 1/2 instead of u, we have 2x squared plus 1 raised to the 1.5, going from negative square root of 2 to 0. We plug in the 0 minus, plug in the square root of 2 in for x. So if we plug in the 0, we have 1/2 parenthesis 2 times 0 squared plus 1 raised to the 1.5. All of that gives you 0.5 when you type in the calculator. Be careful typing it in. Minus 1/2 2 times parenthesis negative square root of 2 squared plus 1 raised to the 1/2. Type all that in carefully. You get 5.59. So we have 0.5 minus 5.59, which is negative 5.09. Now, when you type this in the calculator, be careful. For example, 2 times 0 squared plus 1. You can kind of do this on your own. 0 squared is 0. 0 times 2 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 to the 1.5. So if that helps you, instead of typing the whole thing in the calculator, do that. Same thing on the other side. When you have 2 times negative 2 squared plus 1, if we do negative square root of 2 squared, negative squared is positive. Square root of 2 squared is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. Then you can type in 5 raised to the 1.5 times a half. So take things slowly if you don't want to type the whole thing in the calculator at once. Now, because this is a definite integral going from negative square root of 2 to 0, we can use the calculator. So we type in the original into the calculator. So remember, we type math. We go down to 9. And this one goes from negative square root of 2 as the lower bound, 0 is the upper bound, and then we type in the original 3x square root, and inside the square root we have 2x squared plus 1, 2x squared plus 1, and then don't forget the x at the end. Move to the right, push x, and we get our same answer, negative 5.09. And I do want to point out that some calculators may look a little differently, so you may have to learn what your calculator, how to set it up when you type in the integral. Okay, now our last question. The rate of U.S. sales of domestic bottled water for the period 1990-2000 could be approximated by the integral dt equals 0.0166 t squared minus 0.05 t plus 0.27 billion gallons per year. So notice it says gallons per year. It's a derivative. It's a rate of change. Where t is time since 1990. So 1990 is 0. Excuse me. Use the Fundamental theorem of calculus to estimate the total sales of water from 1995 to 2010, round to the nearest 0.01 billion gallons. So the idea is that we have a rate of change, billion gallons per year, and we want to work backwards just to billion gallons. So we're going to take the integral and we're going to go from 5 to 10. So it's the integral of 5 to 10, 0.0166 t squared minus 0.05 t plus 0.27 t. So in this case, we're going to take the integral. It's not going to be u substitution. So the integral of 0.0166 t squared, we add 1, divide by it. So it would be 0.0166 t to the third divided by 3 minus 0.05 t. To take the integral, it's negative 0.05. This is t to 1. So add 1, 2, divide by it, you get 2. So negative 0.05 t squared over 2 plus the integral of 0.27 would be 0.27 t from 5 to 10. But before we plug in the 5 and the 10, we want to simplify a bit. So here we have 0.0166 divided by 3, which is 0.00553 t cubed, minus 0.05 divided by 2, which is minus 0.025 t squared, plus 0.27 t from 10 to 5. Plug in the 10 in for t, minus plug in the 5 in for t, and then subtract. So we have 0.00553 10 cubed minus 0.025 10 squared plus 0.27 times 10, which gives us 5.73. Again, be careful typing that in, minus 0.00553 times 5 cubed minus 0.0255 squared plus 0.27 times 5, which gives us 1.42. So 5.73 minus 1.42 gives us 4.31 billion gallons. Now again, because we have a definite integral with numbers, we can type this in the calculator. So I'm going to hit clear. I'm going to press Math 9. And this is going from 5 to 10. So 5, push to the right, 10, push to the right, and that's 0.00166 x squared minus 0.05 x plus 0.27. Be very careful typing it in. Press to the right, x, push enter, and we get that same answer, 4.32 billion gallons. Thank you.